Good morning, everybody. Let's get to work. I want to continue where we left off yesterday, which was, I don't recall. We were on the left-hand side yesterday. And yes, I'm reusing the gloves I had on yesterday because they haven't dyed yet. I keep using them until they break, which typically is not very long. All right, so let's go. Almost forgot. I'm thinking about heating this stuff up with just like with the heat gun. Like heat it up and get that stuff really going, because another way to speed up a chemical reaction is with heat. I think I'd like to get in here on this left-hand side of the bike today and work on this cooling system. These little hoses and stuff. The meticulousness of that appeals to me today. So I'm gonna go like hose by hose. I'm gonna take stuff apart. I guess I'm gonna start with this beefy aspect here first. Take this guy out and see what we can do about cleaning it up, putting new O-rings and stuff on it, putting that back together, making sure it works, all that stuff. And then start putting, I have some hoses to cut, custom fit hoses there that I got from the auto parts store. And I've also got ones that are factory bent like this. Whenever I have one that it's a hose like this that has like these factory curves to it, like I feel like there's no choice but to buy the factory one, but because I don't know how to make these little curves, there's probably a way that you could do that at home. But if they have a straight piece like this, a straight shot, I just get the stuff from the auto parts store. It's the same hose, man, and then I cut it to fit and stick them in here. Luckily, this one has a number of pieces that are kind of straight shots on it, so saves me some money. Let me get a screwdriver and let's get this guy apart. Is that a Phillips? Yes. This is my grandfather's screwdriver. It's this cool old wooden one. I'm sure they still make wooden ones like this, but this one is like seriously like 50 plus years old. Let's get this guy apart. Today should also be fun because we will get to look up some part numbers and stuff and double check. I've ordered like this hose right here. I've ordered that one. I gotta look up the part number for that, but I also need to well, actually, that one should be pretty obvious which hose that is. I've got a bunch of O-rings. I need to look up what I have for the inside of this thing. Make sure we got what we need. This thing is just really super dirty, man. I do like that they have like these sort of traditional hose clamps. I don't know what, there's probably a technical term for these specific type of hose clamps, but the ones that have like, you can just use a screwdriver on as opposed to having special pliers. I appreciate the simplicity and the accessibility of these ones that you can use a screwdriver on. Someday this bike will be done. I don't know how far into the future that's gonna be, but we're working on it. We're working on it, bro. Let's get this out of here. All right, here he is. Let's just get some of this dirt off of here. Probably need some degreaser on this thing. Oh my God, yes I do. There's some chunks on here. Here we are, we'll use a interior body panel tool. This little plastic tool used to pry body panels and stuff apart, which I had to do the other day on my girlfriend's Prius. She needed a new seat belt on the back, in the back seat or whatever, because the dog had chewed the belt, and I had to take the whole car apart to get to the bolt that held the seatbelt in there, because it was all these plastic pieces were on top of it and covering it up. I had stripped the car down to the bare metal. Like I found the hybrid battery back there and everything. I was hanging out on top of that because that's how far down I had to strip everything. It took way longer than I feel it needed to be. Like the older cars, like my original like Volkswagen Beetle I had as a kid, like that car, the seatbelt, the bolt to the seatbelt was right there. It took you 5 minutes at most. Like a slow person like myself took 5 minutes. A fast person could have that out in like seconds. But this, the modern Prius or whatever, like, and which is representative of all cars, like that thing takes forever to get out of there. And why is that necessary? They definitely could design it so you could get the seatbelt in and out faster, but you know, why would they prioritize that? Why would the maintenance of a seatbelt be a major design, you know, keystone? It wouldn't. It makes no sense. But why they do design it the way they do, I'm always very curious about stuff like that. Like what goes on in these automotive design studios, you know? Like, what's the messaging like from corporate and stuff like that? Are they like, yeah, make sure you design it so it's hard to work on? Like, is that ever really a discussion, or is it some other aspect that gets us to that end? Because we definitely get there somehow or another. Is it on purpose? That's really my question. I feel like sometimes it is on purpose, but is it always on purpose? Or is it just that they're prioritizing something else, like in order to make the interior smooth and seamless and aesthetically appealing, we need to hide all bolts? Like, is that like a thing that goes on? Do they just go, oh, make sure you hide all the bolts, man, we can't see a bolt? I can see an artistic director or something, some sort of title like that, saying something like that. I could totally see that. I feel like somebody on staff should go, because I know they've got guys on staff or people on staff that are like, that actually work on their own cars and stuff. And I feel like somebody should go, wait a minute, dude. And probably they do, and probably those people probably get fired. Go along with the corporate culture or get out. All right, let's get some degreaser on here. I realize this is like the most inefficient way of doing this. Hence one of the reasons it takes me longer to do things, because I do them inefficiently. And I'm doing it inefficiently on this one because I just don't have, well, I'm being lazy. I do have it. I have a parts cleaner like bin thing, but it's like stashed away in the corner over there. And I just don't have space in the shop to pull it out. I'd have to rearrange, I'd have to put the motorcycle outside and stuff. Oh, who am I kidding? I'd have to put multiple motorcycles outside because I got multiple motorcycles. So instead, I just sort of scrub away here with my little toothbrush and my little bit of degreaser. It does work, man. It's just, I don't think it's as fast as if I had like a permanent like washing station parts washer set up. That would be a lot faster. Maybe someday if I have more space, like my dad has one in his shop, and it's nice, man. It is it's an extra convenience that is pretty cool in situations like this. Like my dad was straight up mechanic, man. Like he just worked on engines and stuff all the time. Like that's what he loved to do. And so he was like, his whole shop was designed around that. Whereas I'm trying to, really, I would like to spend my time welding, but like this stuff is fun. The mechanic stuff is fun. It's sort of therapeutic. It's fun to unbolt things and bolt them back together, you know, and sort of that little puzzle aspect of like figuring out, oh, how does it go back together? Why? And then like this part of this discussion, like looking at things and going, why did they design it this way? Or, oh, look, that's a neat design, like the way they did that. Haven't seen that before, you know, some novel aspect to it. Kind of like that speed sensor on this bike. Like we looked at that yesterday, and I've never seen one like that, and it was cool. It was a novel, in my experience, from my experience, novel design. And I liked it because it was simple. And I'm sure it works, you know, which I gotta say, I much prefer sort of modern speed sensors that are hooked up on the transmission, or like the one we had yesterday, the one on this bike that are hooked up on the actual drive sprocket, something like that. The ones that aren't connected to the wheel somehow, I think the ones that are connected to the wheel, I've always found that cumbersome. For some reason, I find that just an improper placement. I get my little plastic tool back out for this little recess in here. But I much prefer the speed sensors being like tucked away somewhere. Like putting them out on the wheel really puts them on display, I think, and also in most cases uses an excess bit of wire or whatever to get them out there that far. And just not the best design choice, I don't think. This guy here is my Honda Grom. But yeah, I haven't gotten that Grom on the road yet, which is very sad. I just haven't had really the money or the guts or whatever. I haven't had the incentive at this point to put it on the road. Like I don't ride my motorcycle like all that much because I'm kind of one of those people that just rides it from A to B, and I haven't been going anywhere. It's hard for me to just go, oh, I'm gonna go out for a joyride, you know? I'm like, I kind of need a purpose. Place to go, something to see or do, or a reason, you know, like I was using it to commute to work, and like that was pretty cool. Was riding it every day then, and then I was starting to think, oh, this would make sense to get that Grom out because it's not that far. I'm not going on highways, you know, I'm just going on back roads to get to that place. And that made more sense. And but then I got fired. And so I don't need to go there anymore. And now I just sit here and work on this. Boy, that conversation took a turn I didn't plan on. I am trying to I kind of do like this idea of getting in the groove here of coming out here every day and filming stuff every day. Like it is like going to work. Like before I was trying to put out a video like once a week and whatnot, and that was kind of crazy and erratic is how it turned out in terms of how it balanced out my vibrational energies in my life and sort of the feng shui of my life, you know, like, because it was less predictable. I kind of like the predictability and the reliability, even though it's, in theory, more pressure, I guess, or something. That's what they say. I don't know that that's reality. It depends on how you do it. Like if I'm shooting for a top-notch, like super edited video, like editing to the limits of my abilities, like, yeah, that takes days to do stuff like that, you know, when you're pushing it, trying to make it as fancy as possible. But if I'm just trying to like show you what I'm doing, it's not that difficult to get you a video every day. I mean, I'm coming out here every day pretty much anyways, right? If I don't worry about the editing so much, about making it super fancy, like it's easy to put a video out every day. As long as I don't go overboard. If I'm out here for like the entire day, like I clearly can't edit and get a video out as well. I've been trying to like do less fancy video. Still requires some editing though, because just the way I talk. It's kind of slow. I have a slow cadence to my talking, and so I have to edit out some of these like pause spots. You know, these sort of empty lulls in the talking, because that shit's boring. But I do love those videos. Like I don't know how many videos you guys watch or whatever, but I tend to watch a lot of YouTube things, and I do love those videos. There's a few people out there that make these like really highly produced videos, and they're pretty. They're beautiful videos, man, and I do appreciate the beautiful aspect of them. But those people also, like some of them put out a video, like 2 or 3 videos a year. Like that's the level of production they're going for, and it's impressive. And those people are making art, and I definitely appreciate the artistic aspect of it for sure. Like I would love to be an artist, you know, like that is like the coolest way to make a living, in my opinion. An artist. I don't know there's a billion different types of art, but man, that's like to me, like your mind is truly free, like to explore and be itself, you know, and that is a beautiful way to live. But it's also difficult, or at least that's what they always told me growing up, and that's why I never thought that was even an option to be an artist. Because when I was growing up, we didn't have cable television, which is funny because my girlfriend did. Like, she doesn't understand this at all, but we had like 3 channels, and that was it. She had MTV. Can you believe that? Yeah, we had like 3 channels, which is like NBC, CBS, and ABC. Those are the channels, and like literally that was it. And then I remember later in life, when I was like an older child or whatever, Fox came to be. And I remember the Fox channel coming on. This is before there was a Fox News or anything like that, but the Fox channel coming on TV. 20th Century Fox or 21st Century Fox, whatever it was. I remember that. And so that was like, oh my God, my viewing options expanded by like 50%. It was crazy. So yeah, you can see like in this part here, it would be a lot easier to get in this little crevice with, if I had just a wire brush parts cleaner station thing going. Like that would be a lot easier. And I would get better results here. I got to look up some parts and stuff and figure out some part numbers part diagramming I'm going to be doing here and figuring out. There should be an O-ring inside here. I'm going to figure out if I'm correct. Clearly we got this O-ring here to be replaced. I think there's an O-ring inside. I'd like to open this up, take a look at it, replace that O-ring, etc. So let me look some stuff up. I've got some part numbers, and now I'm going to see if I actually ordered those O-rings or not. I kind of think I didn't, because they were on a different diagram than I was looking at. There's a diagram for the water pump, there's a diagram for the radiator. Those are the ones I was looking at, but this water pump is not on the diagram that says water pump. It is on, like literally, it is on the one for the left crankcase cover. So I didn't look at that when I was ordering stuff for coolant things, and so I'm not sure if I have that one. But let's see, let's check part numbers here. Clearly not any of those. It's crazy how much money you can spend buying OEM parts, man. I've got some cool stuff here for the fuel injectors. Crap. All right, so I don't have any of those. I've got a new thermostat. That's pretty cool. I've got stuff that came in that gasket kit, that $300 gasket kit. Kind of doubt that includes what we need for a water pump. Let's take a look. This guy, we got this one on the outside. Like, they should include that in a gasket kit, I would hope, right? But here's all of our gaskets. Is this possibly the one on the inside? I mean, possibly. Possibly. I mean, there's one way to find out, right? We'll take it apart and see if something fits. Maybe this one goes right here. Ooh. Oh yeah. That's a good candidate. And there's only one of these in that size, so that means most likely that's a good indicator that is where it's supposed to go. All right, I'm gonna take this apart anyways, and because I like to take stuff apart. What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man, what a mighty, mighty good man. All right, number 10, of course. 10 is the most popular socket, 10 millimeter, most popular socket on any automobile. That's a fact that I just made up. But it is also my experience. It's my lived experience, man. It's my truth. Holy crap. Am I ever gonna be able to get this back on? Holy crap. All right. Crap, I think I just pulled a muscle on my neck. Kids, don't try this at home. Holy crap, that is like, that was tight, man. This one appears to have a sealing washer, but that seems to be like a bleeder valve, or basically right here where you, because it has this little crush washer thing on it, a little copper like crush washer. So I assume that is really there just so you can bleed the system out. It's not really holding anything together. So I didn't need to take it off, not to accomplish our goal, which is that O-ring. What is it gonna look like in there? Oh. All right, so this is a very specific looking O-ring in there, right? I mean, look at that look at the acute angle. So yeah, this is the part where this show comes to a screeching halt, where I have to like order an O-ring and wait like 3 weeks for it to show up. This is one of the aspects of working on these older bikes, and maybe all bikes nowadays. I don't know if the newer bikes the parts are more readily available, but these older bikes, this one is like 23 years old, and so the parts are, I'm honestly thankful that there are any parts to be had. And I think that the only reason that is because there's a lot of parts that are interchangeable across models, and because it's Honda, they made a lot of stuff, and so they've got a lot of parts as a result. If it were another brand like a Ducati or something with a smaller volume production, I bet you parts would be impossible to get, man. And I say that not without any knowledge, because I looked at buying like a 2000 similar model year Ducati once, and I didn't, because I realized how hard the parts were going to be to find, and I went, oh, wait a minute. I mean, if I had no desire to actually ever ride the bike any time in my life, like I'd be okay with like having a project. Good morning.
and he's
Oh,
not.
the girlfriend's awake. But yeah, so now let's get this little O-ring out of here. I seriously think I'm gonna have to order another one. It's a real possibility. But let's take a look at this one. So yeah, look at the shape of that thing. All right, well, I can clean it up for right now and stick it back in there, and then I can at least get all the rest of the stuff assembled, and then we can swap this out at some later point once it arrives in the mail. I do need that other one to actually work, though. I do actually need that one. I'm hoping I've got it. All right, I'm sure the torque specs on these are 9 foot-pounds. That's what they always are. But I guess I shouldn't worry about torque specs right now because it's gonna come off later anyways, right? Gotta remember not to put coolant in this system though. I don't need coolant to like test run this thing anyways. We can still like run it for a couple minutes without coolant anyways. So, and this bike isn't exactly gonna hit the road anytime soon. Did I just put that on backwards? Crap. That's how it's supposed to go. You can see the little kink there and the kink there. So yeah, it's supposed to go that way. Everything lines up that way. Just being silly. So that guy's, you know, kind of back together. Let's look at this O-ring. Oh, yeah, that one's toast. I mean, this is why I'm replacing all these O-rings, because this thing it's rubber. It's supposed to be flexible, but that thing just snapped. Like, it's so old, it's hardened up. Like, oh, you bend it this way, and you can see it's like brittle. It starts all these little cracks in it, and that's why we need to replace all the rubber on this thing. I'm hoping this is the right O-ring right here. Certainly looks like a good candidate. Like size-wise and everything, that looks like a great candidate. All right, so we've got a little bit of debris down inside here, and I'm going to blow it out with some air. The professional's choice, blow it out with air. All right, I think we're good. Let's get this thing out of the way. Let's stick it over here somewhere. So we've got this piece that connects to that water pump right there. But I'd like to there's also a little junction piece right there. I'd like to sort of take this apart and try and start rebuilding this out of got some new hose right here. Got a couple pieces, like here's one water tube piece that's new. That's a smaller tubing. Here's a fatter tubing that I ordered. That is clearly not for any of these pieces though. So this one has some slight bends to it. Slight. I'm hoping I can get away with using straight tube for that. If not, I can always order a piece later. So last night I just happened to remember that I have this. This is for cutting like PVC pipe. Stuff straight from the local hardware store. But this should be great for cutting this tubing as well. So I'm going to start with the simplest one possible, which is this little short one. Make sure that our tubing is the right inside diameter. Fits on our little junction piece here first. I got a runner here. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead, cut off piece, the right length here. Let's see how well this works. Oh yeah, sweet. That is the way to do it, man. All right, so there's a new piece there. This newer hose, it looks fatter. Like the outside diameter is bigger, but I don't know if it's just because it's new. It's still full of vim and vigor, maybe. I don't know. I really like to do stuff one thing at a time so that I can't make a mistake and forget where I started and which one went where. And that's the case. Like if I do this stuff all the time, like yeah, I would know just by looking at it. Oh yeah, that's the piece that goes to that piece. Blah 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 blah. but this is the first and possibly only time I will ever do this, and so therefore I don't know, and it's easy for me to forget. This might be easier if I mark it with a pen. Dude, it's like butter. It's like butter, bro. Trying to make sure these are facing the same direction, but there is a direction that's probably optimal when it's on the bike relative to all the other junk in the way that these should be facing. So we may have to take this off later, you know. And it's optimal just in terms of its accessibility. Like there's only one way to get in here, you know. I want it to be the most optimal way so that I can get to it later on if I need be. This is the one I really question whether it will it will work. Because look at these, now that I've got it off, I'm like, it's got bends going in opposite directions and stuff. Whereas if we put one straight piece on there, it won't be optimal. There's a certain threshold of optimability. Whether or not we will exceed that threshold is my question. It's probably gonna have to be a little bit longer in order for that to work, and that's kind of my question, is whether or not, if it's because it's longer, then get obstructs something else, you know, come into contact with the engine or radiator or whatever. Cause issues, but we're gonna find out the hard way. So yeah, this is just like you go to the store and it's literally like heater tubing, like heater hose, man. That's what they call it. Heater hose. It's made exactly for this, so it's pretty great. Alright, I'm gonna leave stuff loose at the moment because I don't really know if there's an optimal orientation for this. Once I get it, I might need to twist this around so this slight curves a different way once it's on the bike. But this one is refurbished now. Back over here on the bike, this hose right here is the one I bought. This is factory original hose. Look at that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this guy off. Take off all of these pieces here. We'll swap out this hose in here. I'll swap out the O-rings on these little water joints. Stick stuff back on there. Oh, it's coming together, man. Pretty awesome. Ooh, that bolt looks like it's never been off of there, ever. Pop, pop. There we go. All right, so I should have these O-rings. I've ordered stuff. Let's go ahead and just do this one piece at a time. Falling apart. Alright, take that off. Take this piece off too, and I'm going to clean up this little water joint piece. I just realized that I've got these brass brushes, because I was thinking, oh, I had this urge to like use this steel brush on here, but it would just eat up the aluminum, but the brass won't. So now we have reached professional grade, and we're gonna just do this quick and easy. Holy crap! You see that brush? Watch it. So yeah, it doesn't hurt the aluminum, which is cool, but it's also not very effective at removing anything substantial. Like here's like some hard water. It's literally like just hard water stuff on there, and that won't come off with that wire brush. So just scrape that off a little bit. It's like mineral deposits, probably is a better term. It's probably gonna be a lot of that, because look, this guy needs cleanup as well. Look at all the little mineral deposits on that thing. So this looks better. It definitely doesn't look new, but it looks better. Let's see about this O-ring. In theory, like I've got a bunch of these O-rings over here. Let's pop this guy off. I do really appreciate how light this weighs like nothing. And I do like that. I do like working with aluminum. Like I'd like to weld more aluminum. Aluminum is a lot of fun to weld. It just welds differently than any other metal, because it feels like you're welding, like it's sort of the welding equivalent of like working with marshmallows or something. And it's just, it heats up and cools down really fast, but it welds like it's light too, if that makes any sense. I don't know that it does, but it's kind of what it feels like. All right, so this little O-ring goes to market. This guy. These are all the same. So I'm hoping that will work. I know I ordered that O-ring as well. Let's go check that one out. Here's the factory O-ring right here, which looks very, very similar. All right, so we've got the factory O-ring right here, and this one looks very, very similar. I'm gonna pop this one out so we can compare. Yeah, they are pretty much exactly the same. So I probably didn't need to order this thing. But anyways, that one, I'm putting the factory one in there because I'm cool like that. Back on the bike. Here we are again. My little friend. Hello. So swap out this guy as well. Put our new factory hose on there. Like, we are fancy today, dude. We are fancy. Bam. Check that out. Bam, bam. I clean that up a little bit. It just looks bad, you know? Looks all dirty. I'm gonna clean it up. Here we go. Cleaned up, bro. That wire brushing stuff is fun because it's such a high, like, reward to the cost, you know, of doing it. I'm having a hard time with Mr. Hose Clamp here. It's all out of whack. It wants to fall apart. There we go. Alright, I'll tighten that thing down more later, maybe? Let's do it now. I gotta get the right socket size for this thing. I mean business now, Mr. Hose Clamp. I'm afraid to tighten it too extremely because this hose clamp seems to be not long for this world. Like it's just like, try it, man. Push me. See what I do. I'll be right back. There definitely is something cathartic about like restoring a piece, just cleaning this up with a wire brush and putting the new O-ring on there. Highly satisfying. Highly satisfying. But I'm not going too far with it, you know? I don't want to get crazy because that's not the point of this bike. I don't want to spend so much time cleaning up this bike, making it nice and shiny, that at the end, I'm like, oh my God, I can't ride it. I spent all this time making it nice. If I ride it, it will get scratched or dirty, whatever. And like, that is not the point of this bike or anything I own. You know, like the stuff I own is a tool to like get me from A to B or take me on a journey of like discovery and like making stories and stuff. Like the story I get from riding the bike is way better than just having a shiny bike, you know? That is where I'm at. Not that it isn't cool to have nice things, you know, but I do think there's a point at which they're too nice. If there's ever a point in which you're like, oh, I shouldn't ride it because it will get, you know, for aesthetic reasons, I shouldn't use it. Like, it's too nice to have, then sell it to somebody else, buy something a lot cheaper, and use the fuck out of it, man. That's my hoop-de-doodle philosophy right there. Yeah, I've got all this like little mineral deposit stuff going on here that is it's creating texture and raised layers and whatnot on the mating surfaces, and I think that's probably a good recipe for a leak. And I hate leaks. It's funny because it was only that one at the top. Like, this one is nice and flat. Interesting. What is going on inside there? Like, I could have shined this bolt head up and everything. I'm not. Not gonna. It's a bridge too far. Actually, all right, let's put this. This is very satisfying, man. To fix things up is a satisfying endeavor, for sure. Just my little heart sings at the thought of this thing being more functional, you know, of bringing this thing back to life. Just the idea of this thing driving down the road at some point in the near future. All right, so this hose needs to be a little bit shorter. I am running into problems here. This guy is, you can kind of see, like, yeah, it's too long, man. So I gotta shorten that up just a little bit. There we go. This has a little, if you have to force it just a little bit to get a little bit of a curve in there, and then it should line up and fit on there perfectly, which that's perfect. That's kind of exactly what we want, because the original one had a little bit of a curve to it. We don't want it to be a straight shot. Why? I don't know. I think just so it goes with the curve of this thing. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and torque these down to 9 foot-pounds. I don't have any actual official torque specs. Everything is 9 foot-pounds on these little aluminum bolts. I do have torque specs for the actual water pump. Those are 9 foot-pounds. So nice to have new pieces on there. All right, we're in business. Let's get this guy on here. This is kind of an example of what I'm talking about with the hose clamp. Like, I've got the little adjuster part down on the bottom facing down, so that when you're working on the bike, when you imagine like all the stuff is back on here, all the other hoses, like there's gonna be another hose in front here. Like I need to be able to get in here with a wrench, like from this angle. So I need to have that hose clamp, the little adjuster part on this side so it faces down. If I could have it, you know, over on this side, but then it would be stuck in between here, between the two hoses, and like once you get that other hose on there, forget it, man. It's gonna be real hard to get to this thing. It's gonna be limited access. No, I'll later on, like when the bike is actually running and once we've warmed it up and everything, and like I'll get a leak somewhere and I'll need to go through and like tighten up a hose clamp, you know? Like that seems inevitable in my experience. I want to make sure that I can get to all these things nice and neatly. All these things nice and neat. Now we have time for the big fatty. This guy here, which is, it goes this way. I'm curious if this one works out well. This one here, because it's supposed to, this is the one that's supposed to wrap all the way around. All right, look at that, man. I certainly see hose clamps that are not accessible, like the ones on the throttle body. The throttle body has these little rubber boots on it, and they were, the only way to get to them is like through here, you know? Because you have the throttle body is up here on top, and you're supposed to get down through here, undo those hose clamps on the boots, and then you can take the throttle body off, right? And like you can see, like that guy right there, with a little white piece on top, and so in order to get to that, you've got to be able to get through here, and like the little clamps were like facing in such a way that you couldn't get to them. Like they should all be sort of lined up facing this way so you can take an extension and just run through here and like get to those hose clamps. But that was not how they were set up. I'm not sure how they got them tightened down in the first place. All right, this is looking really good. Dirt, man, dirt. I do kind of wish I had like power washed this thing when I first got it. Like that would make things a little bit easier now. I know why people do that, and it's a good idea. All right, so, and it's because right now I'm getting dirt in all these little places I don't want to get dirt in. And all right, I'm putting some silicone grease on this O-ring right here to help seal this sucker up. That is per the manual. The manual likes to put silicone grease on all the O-rings. This guy's got like a little key here, a little slot in the bottom, which I'm hoping I can get on here. Crap. I'm hoping we can line this thing up. Maybe I need to take this apart. That would make my life easier, I'm thinking. Yeah, if I take, I mean, they're loose anyways. I haven't done anything with this. Take this cover here off, and then we can get in here, make sure that that little key part is locked in the way it's supposed to, because we can rotate the water pump fan around and get that thing dialed in, get that little lock mechanism dialed in, and then we can put this cover back on without any problem. I think life should work that way in this scenario. Yeah, should be able to do that. There we are. Hear that? Locked in. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this back on here. Try and make sure these go back at about the same rate, so this seats correctly. You don't get like that O-ring twisted or anything like that. And these get torqued down to 9 foot-pounds, my friend. 9 foot-pounds. Perfect. Now what? Oh my God! Look at this hose. Look at this hose. These things are like refurbished. Ah, pretty good. It's not some bad accomplishments for the day already. I believe this guy goes to this radiator right here, kind of like that. I might have to shorten this hose a little bit. The radiator sort of sits like right like that. There's another radiator on the other side. Our hose hooks up right there. Yeah, I still need, there's like mouse chewed wires on the top of this thing. Check those out. So So I have work to do on this radiator, so I don't want to like bolt all this stuff down, lock it in at the moment. I'm gonna have to, I got more stuff to do in here. But yeah, most likely I need to trim this hose. All right, that's for another day though.